Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Antonia Uchechi Adirede and I'm a 400 level student of the Department of Medical Rehabilitation, what you could call or what you know as physiotherapy in the University of Nigeria Enugu campus. So today I'll be sharing with you my entire second MBBS journey, how I failed anatomy, everything that happened during that period, and how I was able to pass anatomy on my second attempt, what we call receipt. So, failing anatomy actually changed my life positively. In fact, it transformed my life in a very positive manner. So let's throw back to 200 level. So we resumed 200 level by 2023 around August September, but I wasn't able to resume on time with my mates because I had issues getting accommodation at that point, and that was the beginning of my downfall, or should I say my failure in anatomy, because I couldn't attend most of the classes at that particular point in time. I resumed quite late, and at that point they had already done a whole lot of courses, and imagine facing anatomy, physiology and biochemistry for the first time in your life ever, and you're practically doing it on your own because you missed most of the classes that could have even helped you open up the way or showed you what the courses are all about. So that was my own story. So when I finally resumed, I attended classes for like 1 week, and during that 1 week I realized that I was really far behind, and I was wondering how I was going to cope, because our senior colleagues, they actually come every time to tell us, if you are not reading up to 10 hours, if you are not reading this, that, those advices they give to crossovers. And those advices, should I say, they were very bad for me. You may be wondering, I'm in medical rehabilitation, why am I writing second MBBS? So in University of Nigeria Enugu campus, there are actually 3 departments that write MBBS, second MBBS, which are medicine and surgery. They refer to it as second MBBS. Then the second is dentistry, they refer to it as BDS, and us in medical rehabilitation, we refer to it as PhD. So you could say second PhD, but if I use second PhD, you would literally not know the gravity of the exams. But at the mention of second MBBS, everyone literally knows how heavy or how important second MBBS is in the life of a medical student. So I've given you a background of how I started my journey on my second MBBS, but it wasn't really great. Now I'll tell you how the exams is. The exams from 200 level to 300 level for semester, that's when you'll be learning everything you need to know about anatomy, physiology and biochemistry. And towards the end of first semester 300 level, that's when we start our second MBBS examination. So 200 level first semester, we are going to write an exams at the end of the semester, but that's test. Second semester 200 level, we still write an exams at the end of the semester, and that second test. Then the third test is 300 level for semester. At the end, you write your third test before you now write mock in preparation for the main MBBS exams, which usually follows after the end of your third test. So usually they round up all the tests together to give 30 marks, and then 70 marks goes to your main MBBS exams. Now the main usually comprises of for us, we usually start with mock, but then your mock result will be added to your test, so it's also adding up the 30 marks. So main is comprising of essay and OBJ. After that usually takes place in 1 week. So we usually write anatomy, main essay and OBJ on Monday. Then on Tuesday we write either biochemistry or physio. We usually write on Wednesday both the main essay and the main OBJ. Then on Friday you write the last one, and after that we have a kind of break, a 1 week break. And then the next week it follows the same pattern. The first one you write is anatomy practical, and it's divided into two. So anatomy practical usually takes 2 days, Mondays and Tuesday. On Monday we write this practical, histology slides practical. And then on Tuesdays it's usually steeple chase, where you see soft tissues, bones, organs, and all those. Then physio practical is usually alternative to practical. So what we usually do during our practical in the lab, they usually set a kind of alternative to practical questions, and then we answer them, usually in a subjective format. Then for biochemistry we also use alternative to practical, but biochemistry is usually in OBJ format. So now we are done with how the exams looks like. That's for the essay and the OBJ. After the practical, they usually give us 1 week, and then we write the final paper, which is viva. So if you don't know what viva is an oral exams where a school invites external examiners to come in, and it's more like it's an oral exams, not more like it's an oral exams. So the external examiners come in, and then they ask you a question from everything you learned. So anatomy has viva, biochemistry has viva, physiology has viva, and the viva takes up 10 marks. So I'll be telling you how my examination for each of these went, how I totally flopped anatomy viva exams on my first attempt. So everything will add up to 70 marks. Now, from my 200 level first semester, like I said, I resumed late, and so I tried my best to prepare. And anatomy was giving me headache, serious headache. When it was time for my exams, I wasn't even ready for anatomy exams, and I just had to write the exams. And at the exams, in the exams hall, when I saw the questions, God, that was when I knew that gosh, it was really bad actually. I felt really bad after the exams. Like, that was the first time I ever wrote an exam that I literally could not answer. I looked at question from question number 1 to question number 10. I couldn't figure out the answer to any of them. But I was able to prepare for physiology and biochemistry first test. And so when the results came out, my physiology and biochemistry scores were above 50, but my anatomy first test was around 30 something. In fact, my first test, second test, third test mock were between 30 something. I couldn't even reach 40. My mock was even the worst. I think I had 20 something. Our mock was really bloody anatomy. So with all the advice from senior colleagues and everything, I felt like I wasn't prepared enough. So would I say I lost interest, or would I say I gave up? Because they will always tell you you have to read 10 hours. How the hell am I supposed to read 10 hours when I go to school every day? I live in Maryland. We don't have a transport system that will take us inside school unless you are going to Chatakeke. So that means I'll have to trek to school every single day. So every single day I trek to school, I trek and come back. So coming back, I'm already feeling exhausted. How the hell am I supposed to read 10 hours? I'll still go to classes around 8 and still come back, sometimes around 4, sometimes around 3, sometimes 2. But let's just add extra 40 minutes trek time. So all this with dealing with my mental health, and coupled with the fact that my previous apartment, God, our house was practically infested with wild animals, snakes, alligator, rats, jeez. So my learning environment was not even conducive enough, and then light issues. So I struggled through first semester in 200 level, second semester 200 level. Then when we go to 300 level, I actually fell in love with neuroanatomy and a little bit with head and neck. So I was able to at least gather up marks from neuroanatomy. And then before you knew it, main exams came. And we started our main exams with anatomy. My essay didn't go well for me. The questions we were asked were actually okay: thyroid gland, temporomandibular joint, some spaces like femoral triangle. Then we asked all of the fruit, tough question there. The questions weren't that bad actually, but I don't know what actually happened to me during our anatomy essay. It's more like someone flipped my brain or my memory. Like I couldn't remember much during the exams. I couldn't write much during the exams. Like I was, now I remember I was really, really so scared. I was really filled with fear on the day of my main exam that I couldn't even remember what to write. So I forgot a whole lot of things. So I just struggled to write out what I could remember, and I don't usually ask during examinations. So I wrote a little I could and I submitted my script. When we came out, I started hearing, if you messed up your essay, know that you have failed already. And at that point, I was like, so I failed anatomy. So should I say I gave up? Now, one thing I want you to learn from my story is that it is not over until it's over. After I checked my anatomy results, I had 45 over 100. And that was a little effort that I put because I had already given up after my essay. If I hadn't given up, I should have put in more effort during my histo slides, practical, my simple chase, and my viva, and I could have passed at my first sitting, but I gave up. And so that's what happened. My physiology essay exams, I love physio. Physio went well for me. I can't really remember my essay questions, but anatomy questions will be, I think, usually 5 questions to answer all for essay. Then the OBG as usual is 100 questions. I'll make subsequent video on how to answer the questions. Then for physio, my physio essay main went really, really well. Like I wrote and I faced a temptation on that day actually. So something happened during the exam hall. Our lecturer, I think she caught someone cheating during the exam hall and she asked the person to go out. So I wasn't on my glasses that day, so I couldn't recognize the person she had asked to go out and stand outside. So I turned to ask my friend whether who is that she asked to go outside, and she caught me in the middle of the exams and she asked me to submit my script. Gosh, I submitted my script. She asked me to leave the exam hall, but how could I leave the exam hall when I knew that I wasn't done yet? So I just waited. She kept shouting. Then later she caught 2 other people. Then later we went outside. We were just lucky another lecturer was there, and so he asked us to stand outside for a while. Then he now talked to her and then we got pardoned. That was how we got back our answer booklets. And after that exams, my mouth, and I finished my physiology. Biochemistry exams, I don't know what happened during that day, but we were kind of delayed. I don't know, we delayed before the exam start, but my biochemistry I still managed to scale through. But if I want to be honest with you, I didn't really have any goal for my second MBBS. I just wanted to have 50 and pass, and I think that was the beginning of my downfall. So when our results were done, time for viva, no, let's start with practical. Time for practical. My practical went smooth. My anatomy, histology, I tried my best. I did my best. I did what I could. Simple chase, God. If I tell you that I couldn't even recognize what they brought for us in steeple chase, like it was that bad. I was so bad in anatomy, but my second attempt. So during viva, my physiology viva came. I was asked just one simple question: what is the value of resting membrane potential? That's what I was asked, and I just said the answer, and the lecturer told me I could go. My biochemistry viva, the lecturer just asked me, I've forgotten the question, but it was one question that came out during our main essay, and I just I said everything, so it went well for me. But anatomy viva, God, do you know the first question I was asked? Blood supply to the thyroid gland. Can you imagine that I couldn't, my mind, I was actually saying it in my mind, thyroid artery, superior thyroid artery, inferior thyroid artery, but fear, I couldn't voice it out. I couldn't tell the lecturer the answer. The lecturer now changed the question and I just said I don't know. He asked me arterial supply to the brain. I started listening instead of me to say circular release. I started listening because my mind went away from circular release. I was asked several questions in anatomy, and honestly speaking, I flopped. I messed up. So on the day our results came out, I had gone back home to my parents, and that day I didn't even know they had released the results. Okay, let's say today is Tuesday, they released the results on Monday. But since we didn't have power supply, so my phone was off, I did not know they had released the results. So on Tuesday, I just put on my phone, I just came online and I saw plenty messages, I saw screenshots. Like, I wasn't even normal me. When I'm really prepared for an exam, I usually anticipate the results. I wasn't even anticipating the result. I don't even know whether I was afraid or anxious or anything. I just clicked it and went direct to my number 102. And the first thing I saw was fail. And I knew that was anatomy. And I checked physiology, I checked biochemistry, and I discovered that I passed those two. And gosh, was I so happy. Like, I literally exclaimed that God has shown me mercy, because honestly, that my second MBBS journey, I wasn't prepared at all. Whether it's physio or biochemistry, anatomy, I passed. Like, the little effort that I put is as if God just took it and blew it up for me and helped me to pass physiology and biochemistry. And so I just had to resit anatomy, and I took it as my second chance of learning. So if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. And I don't want this video to get longer than this, so I'm going to make another video about my second attempt after failing anatomy. See you in my next video.